going on, guys? One of you asked recently for me to have a little talk about my experiences with Bitcoin, and I will use this opportunity to talk about my story with Bitcoin, how I believe that it and cryptocurrencies in general and crypto technology and blockchain technology they represent a huge opportunity in terms of personal wealth creation, but also security, privacy, and self-sufficiency without external interference with your affairs. And I thought it'd be a valuable thing to include on this channel, given that this channel is essentially around helping you guys make decisions in your life that keep you high frequency, keep you happy and healthy and wise and self-sufficient. I think is a big element of what I do and what I like to share. So with regards to Bitcoin, there's obviously a ton I could go into, and there's many hours of potential stuff I could talk about in this regard. But I invested in Bitcoin the first time, I think it was in 2014. I invested about $40 in a fraction of a Bitcoin when it was around $250. And I've been accumulating Bitcoin, but also other altcoins, as they call them, alternative coins and currencies and tokens since then. I remember selling my house, my flat in London in about 2016, and up until that point I didn't really have any money to spare to invest in anything, so I was lucky enough to find myself with a bit of extra cash to invest. And I actually decided to move to Thailand at the time, 2016, having sold the flat. I'd only up until that point invested a few $100s into Bitcoin. Of course, I'm kicking myself today because of the price increase. We've got Bitcoins that on their inception were worth 25 cents each, and they're now $57,000 each. But I'd invested a few $100s up until that point. I moved to Thailand with the intention of investing my money into real estate. I was going to buy, instead of having just one apartment, one flat, I was going to try and invest in a few, or at least look into it, because it's cheaper over there. I ended up not having enough trust in the Thai system to go ahead with that, so I still had the money after about half a year. And I heard more and more about Bitcoin and the value of it, especially if you want to have a certain amount of freedom and you want to get out of the old dying fiat system and into a new, more secure, more self-sufficient, a system that you have more control over. I found that very interesting in terms of my own future and my own ability to take charge of my own assets and not have other people interfering and be at the mercy of outside forces too much. Obviously, cryptocurrencies and the prices of all these coins can go up and down, of course, but I just felt that at the time there was so much potential, so much opportunity in the world of blockchain. So I invested more. I invested a little bit to start, and this was 2016, sort of running up to the really big bull run of 2017, where prices just kept going up and up, and every time I invested I saw the value of my assets go up, so I kept investing. So I ended up putting quite a large chunk of my own savings into cryptocurrencies, and for better or worse, I wasn't interested so much and didn't really understand the stock market stuff at the time. So I ended up accumulating a lot in cryptos and having most of my investments, probably against what any financial advisor or accountant would suggest doing. They would probably say you're mad, you're stupid, don't do that. But I ended up putting quite a lot of my wealth into cryptos. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a sec. I want to just first try and tell you as much as I can about the blockchain technology. Obviously, I don't need to go into a huge amount of detail because you can look it up. There is the wonders of the internet for learning about what blockchain actually means and what is this technology that Bitcoin and other altcoins and other tokens and things like NFTs and all of this stuff, what is it built on? It's built on the blockchain technology. This was an invention. I think it was invented by, what's his name? Satoshi Nakamoto, Japanese sounding, mysterious, anonymous inventor of Bitcoin. He invented, or somebody invented, this blockchain, which is a way of recording information on what they call a ledger that allows you to send information digitally that is secure, cannot be changed, has, it's fully private. It's a lot quicker because it's digital. You can send information, and that information might be in the form of monetary information, but it could also be in the form of other kinds of data and information that you might want to move from one place to the next, or to use as a representation of your ownership of that thing that cannot be hacked, it can't be changed. That's about as far as it gets for me in terms of understanding it, but it means that things like Bitcoin and monetary digital money, in a sense, whether it's Ethereum or Litecoin or Bitcoin, you can send it privately without other people interfering with it on your, you have your own stamp associated on the Bitcoin with this ownership of this amount of money. You can send it instantly or almost instantly around the world. It solves so many of the current problems of information transfer, money transfer, middlemen getting in the way and meddling and slowing all these things down. There's so much potential with it. There's a ton more that you can learn about what blockchain technology can represent in all aspects of society, all aspects of the industries. So that's my kind of understanding of blockchain. So I'm investing in that technology. Bitcoin is kind of like the iron horse front runner, the more solid investment out of all the potential blockchain technology investments you could make. So if I was to suggest, and I do want to suggest that you guys invest in cryptos in some way, even if it's a small share of what you currently want to invest and are willing to invest, I would suggest that Bitcoin, being the most well-known and the first in the race technology that is accumulating value very rapidly as well, that's the one you want to invest in with the highest degree of certainty. Nothing is certain, of course, but that is the one that I would recommend if you are going to take the risk of getting involved in cryptos. And I don't see it as much of a risk as not owning cryptos, by the way. I would suggest going for that. Many people might disagree with me going into other coins, but I'm also interested in other cryptocurrencies like Ethereum. I actually invested in quite a lot of Ethereum early on in its inception, and I saw that rise really meteorically over 2017. It's just another form of cryptocurrency that allows you to send digital money more quickly, more effectively actually than Bitcoin. And the reason I suggest perhaps dabbling in alternative coins, many people are going to disagree, but there is something to be said about if you're willing to take a little bit more of a risk to get higher gains, higher returns through these other lesser known coins, rather than Bitcoin is kind of like the slow and steady, most secure cryptocurrency that is likely to succeed more than the others. The others are also likely to succeed, but slightly less so, and there's also more room for growth with the other ones. So if you're looking to gain lots of build wealth, then look into some of the other currencies like Ethereum, like Litecoin, Monero, Cardano, which I have a few of each. So that's the technology. And in terms of just owning Bitcoin, and they call it it's a kind of form of digital gold. It's kind of a place to hold your investments. Yes, the value of a Bitcoin currently is $57,000. Sounds like a lot of people might say, it must be in a bubble. It must be about to collapse and go down. Now it could go down quite dramatically because it's quite a new industry. It's a volatile industry, but it doesn't mean that we can't invest in it and see it, see the value in it over the long term. Bitcoin is expected, amongst those who actually get it, who get the technology, who can see all of this money now flowing into it from institutions, from thousands of companies and billionaires and so on. We're in a really interesting stage now. Regardless of the enormous price of it, in and of itself. There is still so much more potential for growth over the next 5 to 10 years. People are talking about a $500,000 Bitcoin in the next 2 or 3 years, and they're also talking about a 15 million Bitcoin. Yeah, you heard that right, 15 million per Bitcoin. And this is all based on supply and demand. It's really crucial to understand how scarcity is built into Bitcoin as well as many of these other coins. There is a limitation on how much Bitcoin there is available. There's only so many Bitcoins that can go around, and the more people own Bitcoin, the less coins there are. Also, over time, people are mining Bitcoins. People are kind of producing them through server power and electrical power, and that is going down over time as well. This was built into the technology by Nakamoto. He intended for it to be, or she intended for it to be, a scarce resource, and this is in direct parallel to, not parallel, it's complete opposite to the fiat system, the dollar system, where we are printing out money. It's an unlimited supply. We are printing out more and more to cover all of the problems that we're creating for ourselves, and the pandemic and the stimulation packages that people need. All of this is like being printed from nothing, and it's a house of cards just about to, it's waiting to collapse on itself. Whereas this cryptocurrency world, it sounds speculative, it sounds a bit new and a bit weird and a bit strange, but there's so much more security built into this new system. Yes, it's digital, but people are recognizing it as a secure system. Yes, it relies on internet. So if the internet was to die, I guess that would be the biggest challenge facing something like blockchain, but that's not going to happen anytime soon, as far as I can tell. And it's not tangible. You can't hold blockchain really. It's information, but it is scarce. It is something that a growing number of people are wanting to put money into, and they are doing so, and it is growing, and there is still a ton of scope left for growth. We're only in the very early stages of adoption. So definitely worth looking into this technology as an investment for the purposes of being secure, of seeing your wealth grow as a self-sufficient person who wants security, who doesn't want other external forces meddling in your wealth and your money. Yes, you will be taxed on Bitcoins that are sold, but you don't want to sell them, because if you can accrue enough, over time this will also grow. If you can get yourself to a position where there's a decent amount of Bitcoin in your ownership, you can eventually borrow against it. So you don't even ever have to sell it. You can get money from a bank and borrow against the amount of Bitcoin that you have, so that you actually are kind of doubling your money in that sense. So there's a ton of many good reasons to hold Bitcoin, to hold cryptocurrency. You can obviously eventually send it as a currency over time, perhaps when more people do that. But really what people are missing is the fact that it's acting as a store of value that you can use as collateral for other things. If you want to get money out down the line, you can also, what I learned recently, and thanks to Brad for his suggestion on this, was you can take well, it's going to have to be a portion of your cryptos if you want to keep things secure, but you can start earning interest on your crypto holdings. So you can send a certain amount of Bitcoin to an app, BlockFi as an example of one, and you can earn 6% interest over time on the Bitcoins that you have there. So you can also earn money on your Bitcoins, and the cool thing is that the money's, even if it's going up and down over time, you're actually very likely to see tremendous gains with things like Bitcoin over time, because it's a scarce resource, and as time goes on, you can earn more and more interest off this. And for some of us who are lucky enough to have enough, we are able to, I'm not there yet, but we're able to earn enough interest from our cryptos in the same way that, if you have real estate holdings and you have cash flow coming in, you can have enough from the interest to pay for your lifestyle, to pay for your expenses. So you want to start now with this kind of stuff, because there's so many good reasons to hold on to it. And be careful what you hear in the mainstream. I got to say, I owe a lot of my luck and my awareness around Bitcoin and why it was a good investment. I owe a lot of that awareness to ignoring the mainstream and listening to the little guys who are just they have small channels on YouTube, and they might seem, kind of invisible to many, especially when you're focused on CNBC and CNN's take on this kind of stuff, which is almost inevitably always wrong. Listening to the small guy and focusing on kind of like the geek culture around blockchain has been really helpful. Like, you want to listen to the nerds. The nerds get it. The blockchain enthusiasts get it. And those are the people that I have faith in. They can really see the value of the technology. I support them in my investing in Bitcoin and blockchain, and it's only brought good things. I've made some mistakes in 2018. There was a big bear run where the values all fell in cryptocurrencies, and I didn't really see that coming because I was expecting everything to go up, forever. And because I saw things go down, I ended up selling off quite a lot of my cryptos, and that was a bit of a poor move because I ended up losing a lot of the Bitcoins that I had accumulated, which was a shame. But I haven't lost money. Overall, I've gained nicely since I first started investing, and it's only been a good thing. And I'm now starting to earn interest on that money. So that's about it that I have in terms of my story and why I recommend it for a future of self-sufficiency. If you've got any interest in taking care of your own stuff and growing your wealth and enjoying the sense of control and self-management that you have over your resources, this technology is offering a lot in that arena. Do feel free to ask me any questions you have about this in the comment section below. I think this is a relevant addition to this channel, as I say, because I do want to talk more about investing and growing wealth and business and everything that basically contributes to our happiness as self-sufficient, independent, high frequency, high consciousness, aware, non-sheeple, leaders of our own destiny. And I think crypto plays a really valuable part in that. So I hope that was helpful, guys, as I sit in front of these blockchains behind me. Again, ask me any questions. Do subscribe to this channel if you want to hear more about this kind of stuff. I will be sharing plenty more content on this over time. And do like this video. It helps me out. It helps other people become aware of this kind of knowledge as well. I really appreciate it, guys. See you in the next video.